Yo, Joe. Talking comics, here's your host. It's A Real American Brian.
Time to get into some more G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, issue number 25. We have another Mike Zeck cover, Zartan featured prominently, as this will be his big appearance. Larry Hama's writing, Frank Springer's on pencils, and Mike Gustavich is inking. Roadblock and Short Fuse are taking their prisoner Storm Shadow to Alcatraz. They land on the island and meet the other Joes, who have prepared a cell. Storm Shadow tells them, "You shouldn't have bothered, I won't be here long." Roadblock responds, he wants him to escape. He wants revenge on him for cutting up Gung Ho. As long as he is a prisoner, he can't touch him, but if he escapes, he is fair game. In the Florida Everglades, Cobra Commander Destro and Baroness are headed to meet Cobra Commander's new friend. Major Blood was left in a dungeon in Springfield, punished for trying to blackmail Cobra Commander. Zartan flies by on his swamp skier, making a dramatic first appearance. Destro asks if he does any other tricks, and Cobra Commander tells him yes, he is very colorful. The group of Cobras head back to Zartan's headquarters/shack. Once inside, Zartan reveals the illusion, and you see the shack is a high-tech headquarters. Wild Bill and Zap are going to be taking helicopters with a full crew. They begin discussing the details, and some new Joes will be on this mission. They go into the mess hall to find their men, and we get our first appearance of Mutt and Junkyard. They will be on Zap's helicopter. Tripwire, Torpedo, and Airborne will be with Wild Bill. We get our first appearance of Deep Six and Cutter. Deep Six is going to be following the helicopters and the Shark. Back in the Naval Hospital, we see Snake Eyes visiting Gung Ho. Gung Ho sees his tattoo and mentions that the guy who cut him up had the same one. His name was Storm Shadow. Then he turns to see Snake Eyes is gone. You have to keep your eyes on ninjas. They like to do that. Hawk gets a message from Gung Ho about the connection between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. He calls Duke on Alcatraz and tells him the prisoner is even more dangerous than they expected. The choppers are loaded and away. Cutter tells Deep Six to prepare to launch the Shark. Zartan reveals that Storm Shadow found the tracking device Major Blood put into his sword and sent it to Zartan so anyone following it would come straight to him. The Dreadnoks bring in Firefly and Wild Weasel, who they have captured. We get our first appearance of Torch. Zartan is impressed with Firefly and knows of his reputation. He shakes his hand, and Destro is amazed. Zartan begins absorbing Firefly's camo pattern. The other Dreadnoks, watching the security monitors, alert Zartan that helicopters are headed their way. Thank you, Buzzer, in your first appearance. Zartan gives his swamp cruiser to Firefly and Wild Weasel so they can prove themselves. The Joes begin jumping off the copters, and of course Tripwire falls off head first into the swamp. The Joes head for the tree line, and before the helicopters can get out of there, the swamp cruisers they're firing at them. Wild Bill and Zap are attempting to outmaneuver the swamp cruiser with their helicopters, but Wild Weasel is driving, and he is no slouch. Firefly is lining up his kill shot on Wild Bill when the Shark pops out of the water, messing up his shot. Deep Six in the Shark is exchanging fire with the swamp cruiser, allowing the helicopters to get away. The Shark dives down, coming up behind the swamp cruiser, and then comes out of the water and takes flight. Firefly and Wild Weasel don't stand a chance. They bail out just as the swamp cruiser is blown up. On Alcatraz, the Joes have gone to Storm Shadow's cell to check in on him. Baroness isn't impressed with Zartan. Zartan then brings up her disloyalty. Baroness tells Cobra Commander that he better watch himself lest she reveal some secrets. So Cobra Commander agrees. Zartan needs to prove his loyalty. Mutt is chasing after Junkyard, who appears to have caught a scent. The Joes on Alcatraz walk into an empty cell. Storm Shadow seems to have vanished from a windowless cell. Junkyard has found Wild Weasel and Firefly and has them up a tree. The Joes collect them, then Junkyard takes off again. The Shark gets loaded back onto the G.I. Jane, and Wild Bill attempts to greet Deep Six, but the diver walks right by him. Zartan hears something sniffing at the door and opens it up to find Junkyard. He draws his weapon and prepares to shoot the dog. And that is where our issue ends. That is issue 25, setting up a lot of things and introducing another piece of the Cobra leadership as we begin to get to know Zartan and his dreadnoks. My favorite panel from this issue is Gung Ho catching a peek of Snake Eye's tattoo and putting all the pieces together. A great story. We have several story threads that are becoming more detailed, and I don't want to stop reading. I'm going to give this issue 4 flag points. Can't wait to see where we go from here. But that is issue 25. Knowing is half the battle, and now you know. Subscribe so you don't miss out on the next issue, 26, and hopefully we find this escaped ninja.
So long from Brian. Until next time, same Brian time, same Brian channel.